So I'm sick of it. Not just this, but I'm also just sick in general. So no underdog theology today, but I did want to get this out because I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of seeing things like this.
Would you join me in welcoming Matt? Thank you.
You might watch that and be like, what's the problem? Matt Chandler, we don't know that he did anything horrible, so he's restored to ministry and his congregation is clapping. The problem with this thing, and the reason why I wanted to make this video and make sure that I got it out so that other people who might be interested in making videos of their own would be careful. Like, this is my plea to you, to be a little bit careful about how you cover this story or what you think about this story. Because, as I've talked about before, there are two extremes in this story. You could either say that Matt Chandler is the worst person on the planet, he should never be in ministry, he should be kicked out of the Christian church, or you could say that this is the best form of church discipline. Look, finally, a church did it right. All of that kind of stuff where you just look at the village church and say it's like an example for everyone to follow. I think both of these would be wrong takes in this circumstance. The reason why, and the reason why I'm sick of seeing ovations, is because we don't know. And that church, more importantly, doesn't know. It doesn't really matter if me out here on the internet knows what happened at the village church. But it does matter if those people who are submitted to that elder leadership there at the village church, if they know. And they don't. So why are they giving a standing ovation? It's really out of ignorance. I don't want to be mean and judge people's motives. I'm sure that they wanted their pastor back and they didn't know the other things that were going on, so they just wanted him to come back and be in ministry. But once again, the problem with that is that they don't know. And even this time, I watched it live as it was happening because I was homesick, and I was watching it and just being so surprised at the language that they were using. Because all of the language about being unqualified, forgotten. Even things about being unhealthy, also forgotten. This actually seemed way more affirming of Matt than in past discussions on this topic. And that's concerning because if he was unqualified then, what changed? They didn't say. If he was unhealthy then, what changed? They didn't say. Like, all of this kind of clouding of the story is not helpful for that local church, and that's my concern. I'm also concerned for us out here on the internet that we don't jump to conclusions, but also that we don't just become like hero worshipers and we like Matt Chandler, so when he comes back we all stand up and do the standing ovation. I don't want us to do that either. But let's be very careful about saying that this is either the worst thing or the best thing, and just say, hey, maybe in time we'll actually know what happened, and maybe in time this church will stop covering up. Now, if you don't like that phrase, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to call this story of this church. It is a cover-up, either in a good way or a bad way. It's still a cover-up. They didn't say what happened. They used super ambiguous language to make sure that no one knew exactly what happened. And I don't know if we'll ever really know what happened there, but don't just assume the worst. Don't assume the best. Maybe we could sit back and just say it happened. It happened. We don't know, but let's be more careful. And I think that transparency is something that we look at all these mega churches, and I think that we need more and more of it. And for those people in those congregations, I would be demanding it. If that was my church, if that was my home congregation, I would be going to my elders and saying, hey, what happened? I need to know. I'm a member of this church. I'm not some wacko on the internet. I'm someone who's at that church. I need to know what happened with my pastor so I can trust. And this is the second thing. We don't trust people blindly. All right? There is such a thing as trusting your elders, trusting your pastor, and just knowing their character. And so you believe that they are doing the right thing. But they're also people. And people need to be held accountable by their local church. Elders need to be held accountable. So people in that local church should not just blindly trust their elders because the elders said it was a good thing. And that's really what's happening here. The ambiguous language kind of dictates that you just have to trust the leadership, that they know what's best for you. And that's very concerning, as we've seen that go wrong so many times. So, should Matt Chandler be back in the pulpit? I don't know. I can't make a judgment call on that. You can't make a judgment call on that. So don't. Don't just say it's great. Don't just say it's the worst. But let's actually maybe the thing that we could learn from this is to actually try to get accountability from megachurches to actually say what happened. Say what happened. For right, for wrong. I think it's important for the people in the congregation at least. Let me know what you think about this story down in the comments. Like I said, no underdog theology today, but I will be back at some point in the week. Some point, eventually, maybe I'll get over this thing. But you can click over here and watch a video. Don't know what it is, but I'm sure that you'll at least get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. Maybe.